Gotta have it. Gotta have it. When you take that drink of that coffee, all you want to do is say, zippity doo dah, zippity yay. My oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine coming my way. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. Folks, I just rolled out of bed a little while ago. It's Monday, and the weekend went the way it went. As many of you know, KJ shared the upsetting loss of Tennessee and Kentucky there in the basketball game. But I had fun with it anyway. Just to let all you Rays know that old KJ's got a life. It might not be much of one, but it's a blessing. Wayne and I, we went up to Knoxville the night before the game so that we wouldn't have to travel. We'd be fresh. It rained all morning and all of that. And we brought our orange and white umbrella with us just so wherever we parked, we could get into Thompson Bowling Arena. And that's the first time I'd ever been there, and I really enjoyed it. As some of y'all saw the shorts, KJ acting silly and all that. But the SEC tournament starts on Wednesday, and Friday, because Tennessee is a #1 seed, some of y'all understand this, some of you don't, they don't have to play until Friday, and they'll either play Mississippi State or LSU. My opinion is it'll probably be Mississippi State. But the SEC tournament all week, hopefully they can get that tournament title. But anyway, good morning, Eric Jasper. Good morning, Beach Lady and Vix Tex and Stephanie Willow and Maria P. and Kathy Barella and Edie Ruth. Boy, it's a wonderful thing when I can look on the live stream and see all these familiar names. Y'all know we've had problems with trolls time and time again. And so, I'm learning as I go, and many of y'all have been very patient with these people, and I appreciate that. Hello, Hope Grace. So, last week, OKJ talked about Sebastian Rogers, and I felt like because I'm a Tennessean, and because even if I wasn't, he's a missing child. And we haven't gotten any news other than to say they went up to Kentucky and checked a landfill just out of an abundance of caution. And they didn't find anything. Thank God. Thank God. My prayers are constantly with Sebastian Rogers. Rogers. I need a little more coffee, y'all. So he is still missing, and he's from Tennessee, and I just felt very strongly about using this channel, this platform, to kind of, talk about him, put a light on it and all of that. As many of y'all recall, when I first introduced my feelings and thoughts on Sebastian Rogers, my biggest fear was that he would end up like Summer Wells, where they still haven't found her. And it's not looking good. And y'all, we've already been down this road. I've already talked about it, how I seem like to be the worst case scenario kind of person. I'm always looking at things probably more negatively than I should. I could have came on here and he's going to be found and the parents are okay and all that. But y'all, I'm a realist. And if I'm wrong, I'll be so happy. I'll be so happy I was wrong when Sebastian Rogers is found safe. Eric Jasper says, I looked at the process trash goes through. I commend anyone that does find what they're looking for in a waste site. Maria P. says it's 6:15 a.m. here in California. Never too early to join the Rays. Well, good morning, Maria P. Good morning, Dog Mom. Good morning, Mikhail Callahan. Yeah. Hello, Lena Howry. I live for now. Good morning. Listen, y'all. as y'all remember, I took a week off. Yeah, I needed it. I took a week off. Near the end of that week, I had a birthday celebration for my son Andrew on March the 3rd on a Sunday evening, because he's got plans for his birthday on March the 4th. Why do I bring this up? March 4th, a lot of filings had happened, legal documents had happened, and I hadn't covered them. I spent most of my time last week talking about Sebastian Rogers. So, as always, y'all know that whether I'm early, whether I'm late, we're going to go over those legal documents in the only way that OKJ can go through them. Y'all know me. I'm plain Jane, just an old country girl. This is what I see. I'm no expert, but we do go over the legal documents. So there was several of them, and I've got a few things that I want to say about a few of them. There are some clues in there. And I'm sure that many of y'all have already probably been through this on other channels with any of the legal filings, but y'all know it. Y'all know I've got to put it on the record. So we're going to go through it. It's not going to be nothing flamboyant, but it's definitely not going to be something that's just, legalese. It's also going to be about opinions and all of that, and I hope y'all will bear with me, because again, I always cover everything to the best of my ability anyway. Good morning, Cindy Bullock. Good morning, Carrie Richards. Good morning, Valerie Moore. So we're going to get started, and then we're going to get to a point where I will have to look back on some of this, because I think I'm going to have to put a pre-record in on some of this, on some of the things, because if I sat on here this whole time on these legal documents, there's several filings from the state that we would be here all day. And y'all know I can't handle being on the live stream for too long, especially knowing that I don't have that much coffee in me. But before I get started, let me say this. I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you, and I hope that we all, because we've got 20 days, y'all, 20 days till Chad Daybell's trial, we all get a little justice through understanding. That's been the point of it all ever since this channel opened. So let's get started. First bit of news. I got it right here, y'all. I've got the whole stack. Good news, y'all. That damn asshole, Chad Daybell, he has got an order for transport. He's going to be transported to the Ada County Jail no later than March 22nd of 2024. Do y'all remember when they transported that damn hussy? And they went and they had to stop at a store, and she went in there to use the bathroom. Oh, yeah, this is a translated being. If she's such a freaking translated being, what the hell's she going into a damn convenience store to go to the bathroom? I thought she didn't need. I thought she didn't have to shit or piss, right? Well, then the convenience store people in the news article said that when she left there, they had to burn some sage, because her ass is evil and diabolical. But back to Chad Daybell, that damn asshole. He's going to be taken out of his home. He's been in that freaking Fremont County, Rexburg jail all this time. His ass is going to be put in a vehicle and taken to Ada County before March 22nd. Of course, y'all, common sense says they're going to keep him protected once he gets to that damn jail. I wish they'd let him out. I let him out into, the population there. Walk around, like putting a fish in a freaking dang bowl of piranhas. I wish he'd get bent over left and right, up and down. Play some Twister with that damn asshole. But anyway, that's an order to transport. Again, we are going over legal documents that I did not get to because I took a week off. My son's birthday. I apologize, but we're here doing it now. Now, let's get to an order from Judge Boyce to seal the state's motion to quash a subpoena. Now, what subpoena is this? Does this have to do with John Pryor wanting to send a subpoena to Rob Wood about this Summer Shiplet stuff? Or is this a subpoena that John Pryor sent to his expert there that the state does not want to testify? My opinion, and I could be wrong, I believe that John Pryor actually subpoenaed Rob Wood wanting to bring in this stupid ass Summer Shiplet recording, coming back to bite the state. It's irrelevant and it's ridiculous that a defense attorney wants to make a prosecutor a witness in a death penalty trial. It's stupid, okay? There you go. But, you know, on March 4th of 2024, the court received a request to file under seal the state's motion to quash a subpoena. The state does not want it out in the public realm, y'all, because if, say for instance, John Pryor sent a subpoena and that was made public, it would shit all over this case because it would say that Rob Wood had some information, and it would just, it's no different than what Mark Means tried to do. Remember, Mark Means and John Pryor and that slimy attorney Garrett Smith, they wanted to sew up this whole case. And if they'd have had their way, we wouldn't have Lori Hussey Daybell spending life in prison right now. So it's important. And again, I don't know which subpoena it could be because it talks about on March 4th, the court received a request filed under seal the state's motion in limine and brief in support. The state supports a motion to exclude Summer Shiplet's recording and the prosecutor Wood as a witness. So the state has to file this under seal because I guarantee you, y'all, in their motion there, they're saying John Pryor is trying to play kabuki theater here, that John Pryor is wanting to mess up this whole case because John Pryor had to say why he wanted Rob Wood as a witness. Whether it's true or not, it still doesn't look good. And we have Garrett Smith to thank for all that. So that is another order that it's under seal. And in any of this that Judge Boyce orders under seal, he does say at the end, the above referenced state's motion is hereby temporarily sealed. What does that mean? That means that it's not a foregone thing that, you know, it could become public at some point. I'm assuming it will become public after the trial has been adjudicated. Because he doesn't say it's sealed and there you go, right? Then we have another motion to seal, and this is from the state. And this is about the support of motion to exclude defense expert James Davidson, PhD, in relation to Summer Shiplet's recording. Now let's stop there for a minute. PhD, a doctor here, what does his testimony have to do with that recording? And by the way, I'm going to shoot a pre-record. We're going to go over that again. Every damn word that was said, y'all. We've heard it ad nauseum. But I have a different view now that we've seen this hussy get, you know, sent off to prison. And Chad's trial's coming up here really quickly, y'all. I just think that this, to me, and I might be wrong, this might have something to do with Rob Wood talking about the religious aspect of Summer Shiplet, and this James Davidson has some expert knowledge of that. Because I looked at the words of everything in the recording and I'm like, what could a doctor have to testify over what was said between Rob Wood and Summer Shiplet? What could be said? So that's interesting that the state obviously wants that sealed, and it became sealed because, again, John Pryor wants to shit all over this case. That's all he wants to do. And we don't know. We don't know what happened at that hearing. But again, this temporary sealed stuff, we don't see anything further from it at this point. So whoever this defense expert, James Davidson, PhD, is, the state does not want him to testify, obviously, because this isn't about an expert, you know, his 7 experts there. This has nothing to do with the case per se. It only has to do in regards to Summer Shiflett and Rob Wood talking on the recording that slimy Garrett Smith recorded. So whatever that is, I mean, I sat there, I'm like, well, could you imagine Rob Wood? He's sitting there, he's got the burden for the to lay out a case, and then all of a sudden the jurors here on when the defense starts, well, we call Rob Wood to the stand. Give me a break. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. Because it isn't going to happen, does that mean that there's some kind of appellate issue there? I don't think so. I think Judge Boyce knows exactly how to keep this above board, and I think everything's going to be all right as it pertains to that. Hello, Grammy Whisper. So then we get to, and this is all about sealing stuff up that the defense has obviously started to bring out basically in the last month at the last minute. So, you know, this motion in limine stuff, this is where they discuss things outside of the public purview. And it just seems to me that John Pryor is grasping at straws. But this, to seal state's motion in limine in brief in support of motion for the introduction of a statement. Doesn't say the statements, plural. A statement from Tammy Daybell. And I got to thinking about that. I'm like, well, could this be that some of the state's witnesses want to say, for instance, Samantha Williams wants to say a statement that Tammy Daybell made. Some would say, no, KJ, that's hearsay. Well, they can enter that if it's not, if it's entered where it's not the truth of the matter. So it could be that a witness would say something that Tammy said, but it could also mean other things. It could mean a statement that Tammy made in an email, or a statement that Tammy said when she signed the life insurance, or things of that. And we're going to get to another part of this, y'all, where there are specific evidentiary things that we're going to go through as well. So the statement of Tammy Daybell, what could that be? Well, we know Samantha Williams never said in testimony in the Hussey trial that Tammy told her that she knew that Chad was having an affair. So we know that you know, in terms of Samantha Williams, could this be Tammy Daybell's mother or father? The mother's passed. Could it be the father? Could it be one of the children? Could it be, could it be a friend of Tammy's? Could it be just something that's been found, a statement that, and a statement legally could be all kinds of things. It's not just, something that someone heard, but it could also mean an email, a text message of that sort. That is quite uplifting for me, because Tammy Daybell hasn't had a voice in anything. And obviously, if this statement of Tammy Daybell gets in, I hope that Chad Daybell's ass is puckering. I hope it's something that everybody, I know if it is entered, that it's something that everybody needs to hear. Tammy Daybell's voice was her sister Samantha Williams in the victim impact statement, along with her aunt there. But this would be very, very important. Obviously, it cannot be something that Tammy Daybell said, whether in an email or whatever, that's just, you got to draw a healthy inference to. It has to be something very important. So I'm looking forward to hearing that if, in fact, that statement gets admitted into evidence. And I guess the question really is why all this time? And why didn't we hear anything about Tammy's statement in Lori's trial? Because, some would say, well, KJ, he's charged with her murder, and that's why it's going to come out now. Well, that's fine, but why are they waiting now? Why hasn't this been turned over sooner? And yes, it's within the parameters during the time in there for the state. It's not something that, John Pryor can say, oh, it's past the deadline. No, it's not. So obviously it's not, or they wouldn't be having a motion to introduce Tammy Daybell's statement. So that's another thing. Then we get more of a procedural thing, which is kind of interesting, really. It's a stipulation, and y'all know what a stipulation is. Most of y'all do. That means that the state and the defense have decided to kind of streamline things a little bit, cooperate a little bit, compromise a little bit, and stipulate. In other words, okay, we both agree. A stipulation regarding recalling of witnesses for trial testimony is procedural. What they want to do is if they have someone on the stand, and this didn't happen in the Hussey's trial, but it's going to happen in Chad's, and I believe it will, because why in the hell would you stipulate to it if that's not your intention? There are two things that they're wanting to do during the proceedings. Each party may recall a witness in their respective case in chief to introduce additional and or new evidence over and above what was testified to before by that specific witness. The parties agree it may be related to the same evidence and our subject matter, but it will not be cumulative as to what was previously testified to by the particular witness. This is intended to allow the parties to present their respective cases in the most efficient and effective manner. So what it is, I look at that and I say, well, okay, say one of the law enforcement people get up there and they give their direct, the state gets the direct with them, and then they are cross-examined, and the defense sees that there's something that's come out and a door has opened. The state can go back. It can't be redundant. It can't be just a repeat of what was testified to. It has to be something more that was what, y'all, brought out. And this could be also, y'all, about these evil, diabolical Melanie Gibb, David Warwick, Zulema, Audrey Bartario. It could be one of them. They could John Pryor could trip their asses up, or the state could say, get something out of them that John Pryor, he gets them in cross-examination and something else is said. This could be about impeachment. This could be about impeaching the witness. This could be about something new was learned in the moments of direct or cross, and they want to elaborate on it. And number two, each party may recall witnesses called by the other party to ask additional questions which were not allowed during cross-examination, and to elicit allowable testimony for presentation to the jury, which this court otherwise deems to be appropriate. So it isn't just about, being able to go back and get a little bit more clarity, or something new was learned, and so they're going to get something different than what's already been testified. This also means that they can absolutely go back at any point. Defense could cross-examine every one of those state's witnesses, and at the end of his defense, he could say, well, I want to call this one back because I think there's something here. So that's interesting. It's a little different. Usually, when they say that this is about, making sure this is intended to allow the parties to present their respective cases in the most efficient and effective manner. I can see effective, but not efficient. It's usually just direct examination, cross-examination, and then, there might be something else brought out that the state can come back on. It could be a back and forth. So there you have that. So we'll be looking for that. And then we get to a stipulation, y'all, on the introduction of specific evidence. And, when I was trying to play catch up, I went and I was like, oh my goodness, all this dropped on March 4th. And it was the day after I had my birthday dinner with my son, and I was like, man, I can't believe I missed this. I hadn't really seen anything much online. I know some had visited different channels and kind of got somewhat of an understanding of what the legalese was on it, but I wanted to give y'all my point of view on it, and with the lens of what was already in Lori's trial. What is it? Maybe this stipulation of all of this different stuff is stuff that we've heard before, but some of it could be other things. And from what I'm looking at in the exhibit, with the specific evidence there, I don't see anything that the state has stipulated to about any defense evidence. I don't see that. So this must be the state and John Pryor got together and the state says, here's all these things. Let me know whether you can stipulate to them. And he signed off on it. So here we go, y'all. Number 1, business records affidavits, custodian of record affidavit, and the admission of the records referenced by said exhibits. Business records affidavit. So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about Chad Daybell's business of writing books, whether this is Spring Creek Publishing Company? What is this? Some of the testimony that we know is going to come in about Charles Vallow's business and all of the things that went on with that. This is business records. This could be about insurance. This could be about anything having to do with business. That's what it's about. But it also gives you some notes at the bottom on this business record affidavits and custodian of record affidavit. Custodian of record affidavit means who was holding on to it, who's the one that had it. They got an affidavit saying, yes, I was in possession of this business record. But it says the state will still have the business record certificates for admission in relation to any exhibits and or evidence not specifically spelled out. The exhibits and evidence listed within the stipulation is not an exhaustive list of all documents covered by business record affidavits, but the parties are stipulating to the introduction of all exhibits which have an associated business record certificate. The parties recognize the documents and or evidence would generally be admitted with the business record certificates. So these things are, there's nothing, really no blockbuster stuff. This is certificates. This is showing some type of business. Then it gets to Tammy Daybell's phone and data and content retrieved from it and chain of custody. Okay, so chain of custody, y'all know this. When they went over there and they took all that they took out of Chad Daybell's home, the chain of custody, who collected it in a little bag, who did, took it, put it in a vehicle, took it back to the station, put it in a locker, whatever. That's chain of custody. But it says here in the notes of Tammy Daybell's phone and data and the content retrieved, where all content and data recovered from the device or account is referenced, it is meant to be inclusive of MSM, SMS, all other text, emails, phone calls, voicemails, content of accounts on the device, contacts, data associated with the movement of the device. Now, let's stop there for a second. Okay? I'm sure that many of us have watched trials. Specifically for me, it was the Alex Murdaugh trial, where the movement of the phone. Now, this is very crucial in my view, because if you think about it, what would Tammy Daybell's phone be moving around for if she's already dead overnight on the October 19th? What was Chad and Alex doing with Tammy Daybell's phone? That's an interesting hypothesis, right? So that's going to be interesting. The movements of the device, as well as any other content or data located on the device or related to the device or referenced account, including the content of Cellebrite reports associated with any device and or its account. So we all know what Cellebrite is. It's a tool that law enforcement use when they do phone extractions and all of that. Y'all, this is going to be so interesting. What was going on with Tammy? What was she doing on her phone? It can't just be about the, text messages or phone calls. It has to be more, things that she might have looked up, all of that. And from the point where, the autopsy says she had to have died at a certain amount of time, think about what they did with Tammy's phone before it was collected. Just think about the days after that, because y'all, it was January 20th of 2020 when they came out there and they did a search warrant. Again, remember, in the snow, but they also collected other things as well. They didn't collect any of Tammy's stuff or anything like that the day she died. It was well after that. So that's going to be very interesting to find out what the state has got in terms of evidence on that. Okay, here we go. Zulema Pastanez, the old salsa. Alex, he went and he got me chips and salsa. He put some baby oil all over my body, and we flopped up and down like freaking damn, stranded whales. I mean, I remember waking up and I could barely hear Alex in the bathroom in there. Little did I know he was probably in there talking to his sister, jerking off, whatever. Zulema Pastanez, what are they going to show on Zulema's phone? Let's recall what was said from the state, from Zulema. Remember the little journal with her writing a picture, drawing a picture of the way it was in terms of, how people leave their bodies and all that crazy ass stuff. Well, let's find out what's on her phone, because we already know a lot. I mean, when she's texting Chad saying, I see a woman in white, your bride, and all that stupid stuff. Her text message between Alex where they're degrading Tammy before she's even dead. Oh, 9 yards. That's going to be interesting, y'all. Now we've got Charles Vallow's phone and data and content retrieved from it in chain of custody. As y'all recall, in Lori's trial, Charles was very upset and had every right to be, and was trying to get help from Adam Cox. Of course, Adam took off instead of really, he knew something was up that morning, but he just decides to take off and go traveling with his son there. Give me a break, y'all. He's so concerned. But lots can be learned from Charles Vallow's phone. Excuse me, y'all. Charles Vallow's phone. He buried the hussy in the last trial. He's the reason why anything got done, even though they failed him, right? Then we get to Lori Vallow's phone, and it lists her number. And then another one of Lori Vallow's phones, and listing a different number. And obviously, y'all, we know that a lot of the same evidence is going to come up, but let's just be clear. They talked about Lori and Chad, Lori's, is JJ at 0 yet, and all this and that. What if there's other things that the state held back that really shows more of how Chad was? And that will be very interesting. This Raphael Lilly crap and James and Elena stuff that was brought out in Lori's trial. Maybe there's different stuff there that's related to the actual murder victims. So that's going to be very interesting. I feel like the state probably had a trove of all kinds of text messages and things like that sort that they could have used at Lori's trial. They could have used all of them. I'm not saying they didn't. But they could have also if they would have used half of those to drive the point home to get a conviction on that damn hussy. There could be stuff more geared toward Chad Daybell. The degrading, egregious nature of a man who deserves the death penalty. That's what I'm looking for. I believe, y'all, that they're going to be bringing out all of these terrible things Not that they didn't in Lori's trial, but other things that are geared more toward Chad that's going to show his serial killer, nasty ass. You just wait and see. Then, of course, we got Chad Daybell's phone, which, by the way, I say the same thing for his. What's interesting about it is, they say that in the overt acts in the amended indictment that Chad got another phone around, I think, October 21st of 2019. But they only list one of Chad Daybell's phones on here. It's interesting. Is this the one that where they talked in Lori's trial, or is this a totally different phone? We're going to find out. Then, of course, we've got Alex Cox's 2 phones. Isn't that interesting? Lori had 2 that's in the evidence, and Alex had 2 that was in the evidence, but there's only 1 phone listed for Chad Daybell. But then it talks about phone records for Cricket phone, area code 515 and 401. What does this mean? It doesn't specify. Is this Chad? Is this Lori? Is this Alex? I know that at some point in Lori's trial, that they were talking about that Lori knew to answer from a certain area code. So we'll find out. It says all content and data retrieved from and or associated with them. And then, of course, evidence that's going to be entered into the asshole's trial is these different iCloud accounts, Lori for Style, Lolly Time, Charles Vallow, Tammy Daybell. We didn't get a whole lot of Tammy Daybells in Lori's trial. We got some of Charles Vallow. We got a lot of Lori, the iCloud accounts of hers. And I guess if you really want to look at it, when I say there's only 1 phone listed for Chad and 2 for Lori and 2 for Alex, well, if there's something on one of Lori's iCloud accounts that shows a communication with Chad Daybell, why list it? I don't know. Then it says Charles Vallow's emails. And we know some of those emails. We know that Charles was trying to warn people. We also know that Charles sent Tammy Daybell emails. Will we find out whether or not Tammy really knew the situation? Because what we've been told is that, it doesn't say it was read or deleted or anything like that from my memory serving. Why is it that Charles Vallow's emails, other than to say the crimes that were committed in Arizona are relevant to show a motive, intent of motive? That is one of Lori's appeals, by the way, that they shouldn't have brought in the Arizona charges. But just to let you know before we get there, the last one listed on the evidence is Lori's current charges in Arizona. So they are being admitted in Chad's trial. Obviously they should, because they were admitted in the Hussey's trial. So yes, the jury's going to know that Lori's got charges in Arizona. So then, of course, we got Banner life insurance documents related to Charles's life insurance. And, that speaks for itself. It's going to show that Charles absolutely did the right thing and put Kay Woodcock on that insurance policy. Sadly, Charles Vallow's autopsy, that's going to be hard for the families. It's going to be hard for everyone who maybe did not know Charles Vallow, but sure have gotten a feel for the kind of man he was. A wonderful, beautiful person who did everything for his family, who was a good, wonderful, honest man. That's going to be hard for the family who's going to be there having to see that. And then, of course, earlier, a couple of weeks ago, Homer J. Maximus online Google searches. The whole account itself, remember I told y'all, this is going to let us peer into Chad Daybell and Alex Cox's relationship. And I guarantee you, the way those 2 nasty-ass men talk about the children, Tammy, or anything else, it's going to really, really put a check mark in a lot of jurors' minds on whether Chad Daybell deserves the death penalty. All right, here we go. Daybell search scene photos. This was taken the day the children were found. We're going to see those. Actually, we're not going to see them, but we're going to hear about them. Maybe we'll see some of it as long as it's not including the graphic photos of the children. The Daybell search scene photos from 1/10. It wasn't January 20th. It was January the 10th. When they went over there, the search photos where it was snow on the ground, they were outside with metal detectors. They also got some electronics and journals and things of that sort. We're going to see inside of Chad Daybell's house. Then we've got an FBI signing sheet from January, February, March, April, May. It was the day after the children's bodies were found, which is important to show the jury that all this was above board, that everything was done properly, whether it's chain of custody, whether it's showing, say, for instance, an FBI person that signed in, they're going on the stand. And let's not forget, everything that I'm talking about in terms of evidence, someone's got to authenticate it. Someone's going to go on the stand and talk about these things. Photos of Daybell's fire pit taken by Julie Fowler. So, is this the fire pit after the search, before the search, during the search? It's just unconscionable, y'all. They found Tylee's little necklace in that fire pit. It just makes me want to beat that man and woman senseless. Video of Rexburg Police Department searches of Unit 107 and 175. This is, to me, going to be really interesting because we know Lori was stationed in her little nest there in 107 waiting for her damn asshole Raphael there in 107, and Alex had rented 175. We've all talked about it when Wayne and I went to Idaho and we looked at the garage area. We looked for surveillance cameras. We were hoping, this was before Lori's trial, that something would show, and we didn't know. It's like, how could they have done what they did? Could there be DNA evidence of Tylee or JJ in those apartments? We found out in the Hussey's trial, none of that was there, other than to say out on Chad's property, which we'll get to in a minute, and on the black bag, the hair and all that, they did not find any amount of blood or anywhere in 175 or 107 in the shower drains or anything like that. So, but we are going to get to look. And just for instance, you know, when they go, they're going to have video of them, you know, in 107 and 175, they're going to see that Alex's apartment there is completely cleaned out. We're going to see how it was in there with you know, Lori's apartment, what she left behind. Then we've got photo sets taken by Nicole Heiderman of search on 1/3 of 2020. So when we're thinking about January 3rd of 2020 and January 10th of 2020, I'm assuming that on the 3rd of January, that's when they did the metal detector. Y'all excuse me, I need a little more coffee. But remember when they went back and it was about a week later they went back. It was reported on, but nobody knew what they were there for. So that will all be brought out. And I think that they're going to bring out more about the aspects of Chad's property and what's going on in his house and in the backyard more to show Chad Daybell's involvement more. They touched a little bit on it in Lori's trial, but they didn't really have to, I guess, do the whole, you know, shabam there about it. I think they're going to really have to focus in on Chad. And a juror would be like, okay, so, you know, Chad says he went to the library. Will the state show that he never left? Maybe he never left. Maybe there's no surveillance. It doesn't say anything in the exhibits, and it wasn't brought out in Lori's trial, any surveillance from BYU where he was supposed to go right, him and his shitty books, right? I don't know. Maybe that's what they're going to show. They're going to show the jurors, hey, he's sending Tammy a text saying, I'm going to write at BYU, but his phone never leaves the house. Who knows? Then you got Tammy Daybell's Google searches on October 9th of 2019, which y'all know that's the day that she was shot at. We also know of Tammy Daybell's Facebook post on that same day. We already saw that where she was saying something weird just happened. Audio of Tammy's call to dispatch 911. We know about that. The audio of Joe Murray's call to dispatch 911. We've already heard that. Audio of Alex Cox's 911 call on July 11th of 2019. Y'all know what that's about. He's a liar. He's a freaking liar. And those stupid police over there took him for his word, basically. That's when he murdered Charles. Him and Lori murdered him. I don't think Alex just murdered Charles. I think Lori and Alex murdered him. Then we've got Tammy Daybell's death certificate, which will list. It will list cause of death on there, y'all. Asphyxiation. Teton Medical Group records for Tammy Daybell and Seasons Medical records for Tammy Daybell. Y'all, this is probably the state's attempt to show she was healthy. Anything going on, whether she hadn't been to a doctor, whether she had, it's going to show that Tammy Daybell, like we all know, was healthy until Chad Daybell snuffed her life out. The order for exhumation of Tammy's body. Photos of the scene on the day that Tammy, 10/19th of 2019, the scene, photos of it. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, they had a coroner come in, the police came in, they said, oh, this looks like natural causes. But I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know that there was photos taken that morning. There was. So that's going to be interesting. FBI report of, y'all, this is the part that really, it bothers me, it hurts me. FBI report of marks on Tylee's bones, stabbing marks. And yes, we heard about this in Lori's trial, talking about that this wasn't your classic dismemberment. Tylee Ryan's autopsy photos, y'all. Identity of the remains found on Chad Daybell's property in the pet cemetery as those of Tylee Ryan. DNA tests. Results and reports which identify the remains of Tylee Ryan. That son of a bitch needs the death penalty, y'all. DNA tests. Results and reports which identify Tylee Ryan's DNA being found on the shovel and pickaxe as found in the ISP lab reports. Tylee Ryan's FBI laboratory report. Identity of remains found on Chad Daybell's property in the black plastic bag near the fence line as those of J.J. Vallow. Chad Daybell is disgusting. He's a piece of shit. Okay? That's what he is. I don't care. I don't care if anybody's going to get offended by me using foul language. J.J. Vallow's autopsy photos. DNA results and reports which identify the remains of J.J. Vallow. ISP forensic reports on DNA and fingerprints. Apollo satellite images of the Daybell property. And y'all, I think this is, you know, they showed that in Lori's trial where on one day, it didn't look like there was any disturbed ground, and the very next day, I'm thinking maybe that's what that's about. And here we get to what I hypothesize about this doctor expert of John Pryor's, which the state doesn't want testifying, where John Pryor wants to bring up Rob Wood talking to Summer Shiflett about LDS speak and all this stuff that Rob Wood should have never been talking about in the first damn place, the priesthood and all that other bullshit. Chad Daybell's temple records, Lori Vallow's temple records. And it's my hypothesis that this expert is going to be talking about all that. Mountain America Credit Union records, I don't know who, that must be maybe Chad and Tammy's business records. Then we get to Knott's Berry Farm tickets purchased on November 16th of 2019, which will show the jury where Lori and Chad and his kids were and how the children's bodies of Tylee and JJ were in his backyard while they were over there having the time of their freaking life. I hope the jury slams that son of a bitch to the damn wall. How dare they? So yeah, Knott's Berry Farm tickets purchased. Wonder if that was with Tammy's blood money or whether that was Lori wanting to fit the bill. I'm the goddess. I get the Social Security and the child care money. I get $46,000 a month. I think we'll go to Knott's Berry Farm. We'll just have the time of our life. Give me a break. Bode Technology case file regarding DNA, including the Bode lab report regarding hair found in the duct tape located on the bag wrapped around JJ Vallow. And y'all know that was Lori's hair. And I don't give a shit if anybody says, well, it could have happened. It could have transferred on. It doesn't mean that Lori had nothing to do with it. Folks, it means that it was either in that apartment of Lori's or Alex's. Where else were they going to go? In a vehicle? Outside somewhere? No, I don't think so. I don't think they were going to go outside. It had to be in Lori's or Alex's apartment that Lori's stupid ass hair was on the duct tape. And we know that Alex Cox's fingerprint or palm print or whatever was on there. Brother and sisters unite to murder innocent children. Give me a break. Astria report on unidentified hairs. Unidentified hairs. Specifically, the reports and findings of Dr. Eric Green regarding DNA testing of hairs located in the duct tape associated with JJ Vallow. So when they say unidentified hairs, John Pryor's going to pounce. This could, anybody but my client, obviously. Put some reasonable doubt in there. It don't matter. Everybody knows that Chad, Lori, and Alex are freaking animals. Findings and reports of Tamara Martinez of the Idaho State Lab referencing fingerprints found on the bag and duct tape associated with JJ Vallow. We all saw that in the Hussey's trial. Texas and Arizona fingerprint records for Alex Cox. PacTech report by Bard. Example, Tammy's deleted photos. Okay, did we hear anything in the Hussey's trial about Tammy's deleted photos? Now, first of all, did Tammy delete the photos or did Chad delete some photos? Why would Chad delete any of Tammy's photos? And this goes back again to the movement of that phone. And what happened after she was dead. That phone was in Chad Daybell's possession in that house after her death. Why would he delete any photos? Or is it showing before Tammy was murdered that she deleted photos? And why would she delete photos? It doesn't seem to make sense to me that Tammy Daybell would delete any photos, but we're going to find out what those photos are. Yes, I deleted photos from Tammy's phone. This is interesting, y'all. Seth Daybell's journals. Michaela Daybell's journals. Wonder if they're in there writing about what was brought out in Lori's trial, where I think it was Emma said that, Dad doesn't want nothing to do with us anymore. Maybe this is Seth and Michaela's journals saying that their dad is acting strange, or that they, maybe they're saying they don't like their new stepmother, whatever. Lori's former spouse's names and dates of marriages and divorce. Yeah, the jury's going to find out that Lori plays, she's just a loose hooker. That all she did was marry these men to better herself financially. I don't care what people say. People say, well, maybe at one time she was a good person, a good mother, and maybe she really loved these guys. No, knowing what is deep in that woman and how freaking destructive and evil she is, she's a hooker. Mortuary call placed by Chad after Charles's death. Oh, yeah, what is it? Chad Duvall? Give me a break. What, John Pryor's going to, during his defense, is going to say, well, Chad didn't know. He was just trying to help that woman. Forget the fact that they were screwing. Chad, he called the funeral home because she's too much of a freaking coward to do it herself. And by the way, maybe because Chad wanted Lori and Alex to kill Charles Vallow, maybe Lori's like, well, you wanted me to do this, now you need to help me with the arrangements. State's exhibits from Lori Daybell's trial, 180, 181, 182, and relevant subparts regarding the bones and tool marks. And y'all know that's in relation to Tylee. And if you want to find out, if you're one of these ones that research like me, and I should have done it, but I haven't done it yet, but I will, you can go back to the Hussey's trial and look at when they say exhibit number 180, 181, and 182. Then you'll know what they're talking about. But it does come out and say subparts regarding the bones and tool marks. Then, of course, we've got the procedural stuff, chain of custody for transport of Tylee Ryan's remains, chain of custody for transport of J.J. Vallow's remains, chain of custody for transport of Tammy Daybell's remains. Walmart receipts for the purchase of a track phone, and y'all, I believe that one is in the overt acts in the amended indictment on Chad Daybell. He got him a phone. What date was that? It's in the indictment. Hold on, let me think. That's the 21st of, the 21st of September. Or maybe it was October. I'll have to look that up, y'all. Please forgive me. I'm not 100% here right now. Death report for Tammy Daybell from Deputy Greenlaw. Death certificate for Tammy Daybell. I thought they already said that. The death certificate and the... Let me see something. I'm just curious. They've said that twice. I don't know why. Maybe it's a different one. Maybe it's the amended one. The updated one, right? Okay, so we got experts, Dr. Raven, Dr. Christensen, and Dr. Marston. I remember Christensen. I don't remember Raven or Marston. So maybe these are different experts that the state is bringing in for Chad Daybell's trial. May reference all reports, statements, etc., which reviewed in support of their findings. So for any of y'all that's into the research and analysis of these names, specifically the one that the state wants to keep that doctor from testifying for John Pryor, it might be interesting to try to run that down. Copies of original documents submitted as evidence in Fremont court case CR 22-21-1624, which was the Hussey's case number, and there you go. Those are things that are stipulated to. There's going to be other things that John Pryor, obviously, he can't do nothing about it, but he's not going to stipulate to anything other than any of this because he knows he can't do shit about it, right? Well, I'll tell you what, seeking justice, so we can accuse people based on forgetting exact dates like other channels. Hey, this is an open channel, seeking justice. All of us are not perfect. Yes, I could have prepared myself better. But as you well know, anything and everything can come out on a live stream or a video on YouTube. Sometimes it frustrates us, and I'm speaking directly to you, seeking justice. I can tell you this right now, seeking justice. I pray for any of the physical ailments that you might be experiencing, and for anyone actually who's got physical ailments, and also for the things that's in your heart that you feel like, you would like more clarity or comfort on. The bottom line, and what you were asking in your comment, I'll just say it like this, and I surely hope you understand. I received my mother's Bible in the mail after 3 years after her death from my sister. So my family situation isn't in a good place. So I don't feel like I can comfort anyone about other family situations. I understand the love you have in your heart, and I know you'd like to have some peace of mind about all of it. But as many people on here understand, this case has hurt a lot of people, specifically the victim's family members. I wish there was something I could say or do to make it better for them. But ultimately, they've got it within them to heal, to find forgiveness, and to move on at their rate. Or if they don't want to move on. If they don't want to move on, that's their business. But I choose the high road. I know many on here choose the high road. And maybe the high road is really just saying to myself, there's nothing I can do, so I have to choose the high road, because I could easily get sucked in to the negativity. Anyway, somebody's calling in. I gotta go, y'all. A lot on my plate today. Leave your comments. Tell me what you think about the exhibit stipulated list. I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit more on this week. Some other matters that we're going to have to iron out for the trial. I did put a post on the community wall about ideas on what we should do during Chad Daybell's trial. Some of y'all said, well, do what you did with the hussies. I can't do that. There's cameras in the courtroom, and everybody on here is going to want to watch the visual aspect of this trial. So I don't want to be in there, because I guarantee if I could figure it out where I could do a split screen and the trial's there and I know KJ's there, y'all, it would be just one interruption after another, because my ass would be all upset or saying something. And I just think that the Rays probably just want to hear it out. Maybe we'll get together later on in the evening. That still needs to be ironed out. We'll see what we can do. I love you all. Thank y'all so much for being patient with me, trying to play catch up with all the legal documents. We'll get back together real soon. I love you, love you, love you. And seeking justice, I love you, and I appreciate you wanting to have some peace, because that's what I want and everyone else does. So with that said, y'all have a great day, and leave your comments. Keep on looking.